In this screencast, I'm going to make a web service provider and a consumer to consume the service. First, I'll make the provider. New project, and this time we have to choose a web project because the web service provider will be hosted by a web server. So you have to choose this. I call it math service because it's going to make simple mathematical calculations. And now we have to choose which web server, depending on what edition, not what NetBeans version, but edition, small or big, you have installed. You might have one or more or none web servers to choose from. If you have no web servers here, it's the easiest thing you can do is to delete your NetBeans, download a bigger edition, and install it again. You can also try to put web servers into your NetBeans, but that'll be harder. Here I choose Tomcat because it requires less memory than Glassfish, but they could both do. Then it asks me for something that's not relevant right now. And then I'll get my web application. Now NetBeans think I'm going to do an ordinary web application. That's why it gives me this JSP file. That's not interesting right now. What I want is to make a new web service here. If it's not in your list, you can go and find it here in Web Services, Web Service, New Web Service. We should put it in our package, press Finish, and here comes our web service. Yes, here's a now empty web service, no operations. We'll add an operation. I right click, insert code, call add web service operation. I'll make one called plus. I will do plus. I add some parameters here. Two parameters, A and B. And then I click OK, and then it looks a bit messy here, so I'll format. And you can see there are some annotations. This is a web service, this is a web method, and even the parameters to this method are annotated. But you can still recognize the ordinary Java, public int plus A, B, and then we have to do the calculation, and that's it. Now we're ready to deploy the service. That means compile it and put it onto this web server so it can be used. It takes a little while the first time because now the web server has to start up first. Next time we deploy it, it'll be quicker. Yes, now it's deployed, ready to be used. If it wasn't for the firewall on my computer, it was accessible to the world. Now I'll make myself a web service client, consumer. Consume this web service. Here it is. And I'm going to make this a web service client. And since I have another project in NetBeans, I can say this is the project. This is where the service provider is. I click finish. Now my math client 2 project reads the WSDL file from that service and generates some Java classes from it. Here are the generated classes. We can start using them. From here, I right click, insert code, call web service operation. This is math service I want to call plus. Here we go. Here it is. 5 plus 6. I expect to see 11. Oh, I have to build first. Compile everything, and then yes, here's 11. So now I made my own service and called it. Maybe I should get rid of this lousy exception and do some formatting. Then I'd like to add another method to my web service. Divide, for example. So I right click again, insert code, add web service operation, divide, engineer again, engineer, oops, A and A, gotta have different names on the parameters, And with types, you can either choose from the list or write whatever you feel like. Again, our format to make it look a little more readable. A divided by B, for example. That's it. Then I have to deploy the new version of this service. Now it has two operations, plus and divide, so the new version has to be put onto the web server. That's what I'm doing now. Yes, fine. And then I would like to use this new operation divide in my client. Here it is. So, but first, if I go and look at web service references, I see only the plus operation, not the division. And that's because I didn't reload the WSDL file. I have to get the new version of the WSDL file with the plus and the divide. So I have to refresh the client. I'll do that, replacing the WSDL file. So I'll read the new WSDL file, generate some new Java classes from it. There we go. And then I should see both operations. Yes? So now I could call division. 10 divided by 4, that's 2.5. That means 2 in this is, oh, I have to build. Since we're doing integer division, there's 2s. What if I divide by 0? What happens then? Maybe I should expect some kind of exception. Ooh, yes, what did I had a soap fault exception. So that's the thing. If I want to catch something, I should catch a soap fault exception like this. And then if I wanted to see what's inside, I could do something like this. Let's phone again and run. So I can see that inside it there is the message division by 0. So then we can see the message that comes from the original Java exception from the server. So we always get a soap fault exception here. That's the only exception we can really get in a web service. So thank you for now. And remember, when you add things to the web service, you add the new operation, then you deploy to put the new version on the web server, and then you refresh the client here to read the new version of the WSDL file. That's most important. Otherwise, if you get one of these two things, then you run the old version of the service provider. Thank you.